Kyoto, Japan. A young samurai named Takeshi collapsed during training, not from physical exhaustion, but from something deeper. His master, Yamamoto-sensei, looked down at him. "You're tired, not because your physical body is fragile, but because your spirit is heavy." Takeshi didn't understand. He trained harder than anyone, slept less, pushed more. Yet he experienced empty, drained, burned out. Meanwhile, across Japan, Miyamoto Musashi, the legendary swordsman, fought duel after duel, trained relentlessly, created art, wrote philosophy, meditated for days, and never showed exhaustion. Over 60 life-or-death duels, never lost, never burned out. How? Here's what nobody explains you. Your exhaustion doesn't come from what you accomplish. It comes from why you accomplish it. Musashi understood something modern individuals have forgotten. Energy doesn't come from effort, it comes from alignment. The question isn't how to rest more. The question is, are you walking a straight path, or are you running in circles, draining your spirit with every confused step? Chapter 1. The Awakening. The Moment Energy. Dies, Osaka, 1604. Takeshi was 19 when he arrived at Master Yamamoto's dojo, eager to become a great samurai. He possessed talent, discipline, ambition, but within 6 months he was exhausted in a manner he'd never experienced. Not physical tiredness, he could handle that. This was different, heavier, a weight in his chest that no amount of sleep relieved. He'd awaken tired, train tired, consume tired, sleep tired. "Why am I like this?" he inquired his training partner Kenji. Kenji shrugged. "You're not the first. Many students arrive with fire and depart as ash." That evening, after a particularly brutal sparring session where Takeshi had been defeated by a student half his skill level, Master Yamamoto approached. "Walk with me." They walked in silence to a quiet garden behind the dojo. The sun was setting, casting long shadows. "Explain me, Takeshi, why did you come here?" "To become a great samurai, Master." "Why?" Takeshi paused. Nobody had inquired that previously. "To bring honor to my family. To prove myself. To be recognized as..." "Discontinue." Yamamoto's voice was gentle but firm. "You came here to prove something. To gain approval. To be observed." Takeshi experienced exposed. "That," Yamamoto continued, "is why you're exhausted. You're not training to master yourself. You're performing for an audience that isn't even observing." The words hit like a physical blow. Yamamoto picked up a small stone, placed it in Takeshi's palm. "Every occasion you train for approval, you add a stone. Every occasion you compare yourself, another stone. Every occasion you overthink, hesitate, attempt to impress, stone, stone, stone." He placed imaginary stones in Takeshi's hands until the weight became genuine in his consciousness. "You're not tired from training. You're tired from carrying stones that serve no purpose." Takeshi looked at his empty hands but experienced the weight anyway. "Miyamoto Musashi," Yamamoto articulated, "fought over 60 duels, many to the death, yet he lived to old age and never burned out. Do you understand why?" Takeshi shook his head. "Because he fought to understand himself, not to prove himself. He carried no stones. His energy came from walking a straight path. His path, not running in circles chasing validation." That evening, Takeshi couldn't sleep. He recognized he'd been exhausted his entire existence, not just the past 6 months. Every effort in school to be top student, every social interaction to be appreciated, every achievement to be impressive. He'd never accomplished anything simply because it was his path. The subsequent morning, Yamamoto announced, "Takeshi, you will spend 1 year learning Musashi's method, not sword technique, energy alignment. The practice of dokudō, the manner of walking alone. But Master, I came here to learn to fight. And you will never master fighting while your spirit leaks energy like a broken vessel. First we seal the cracks, then we fill the vessel." Takeshi bowed. He possessed no idea this decision would transform not just his training, but his entire existence. Chapter 2. The Principle. Dokudō, the way of walking alone. The subsequent morning, Master Yamamoto led Takeshi to a storage chamber. Inside, mountains of equipment, clothes, scrolls, weapons, everything a samurai might require. Take what you require for 1 year in the mountains. Takeshi began gathering items: extra clothes, spare sword, writing materials, cooking supplies, blankets, books, tools. After 20 minutes, he'd assembled a massive pile. Yamamoto observed silently. Now remove everything of no use. But master, I might require. Miyamoto Musashi wrote, do nothing which is of no use. Every possession is a weight. Every attachment is a chain. Remove what you might require. Keep only what you must possess. Takeshi reluctantly removed items. Half the pile gone. More. Another quarter. More. Finally, Takeshi was remaining with 1 sword, 1 set of clothes, 1 blanket, 1 bowl. This, Yamamoto articulated, is the first principle of inexhaustible energy. Remove everything of no use. They walked to a quiet grove. Yamamoto sat, gestured for Takeshi to sit across from him. Musashi lived like a ghost. He slept on floors, traveled barefoot, often went without even a transformation of clothes. Individuals contemplated him strange, but he understood something they didn't. Energy doesn't come from possessing more, it comes from carrying less. Yamamoto drew in the dirt. A man carrying a massive boulder, hunched, exhausted. Next to it, a man walking freely, straight-backed, carrying nothing. Modern individuals, even now in Edo period, carry invisible boulders. Mental baggage. They carry every insult, every comparison, every worry, every obligation that doesn't matter, and they wonder why they're tired. You came here carrying stones. He listed them. Proving yourself to your father, comparing yourself to other students, worrying about what individuals contemplate, perfectionism that serves no purpose, seeking validation from every action. Each one experienced heavy in Takeshi's chest. Musashi removed all stones. He inquired of every thought, every possession, every commitment. Is this useful to my path? If no, he discarded it without hesitation. This is dokudō, the manner of walking alone, not lonely, alone. Walking your path without the weight of others' expectations. Takeshi experienced something shift. But master, how do you understand what's useful? Yamamoto smiled. That's what you'll discover. But first, you must understand something crucial. And this truth extends beyond this dojo, beyond this time. His voice took on a quality that made Takeshi experience the words reached beyond him. Throughout history, warriors have discovered this principle. That energy doesn't come from effort, but from alignment. That exhaustion comes from carrying weight that serves no purpose. And today, in occasions you cannot imagine, in places far from this mountain, others will confront the same burden you confront now. Scattered energy, divided focus, spirit crushed under stones they don't require carrying. Yamamoto looked directly at Takeshi, but his words seemed to articulate through time itself. Those who discovered dokudō, who learned to walk their path alone, unburdened by useless weight, they find what you're seeking, not techniques to push harder, wisdom to walk straighter. At Presence and Purpose, we keep this warrior discipline alive, not as history, but as practice. The ancient method of energy through alignment, not effort. And the samurai path of removing stones instead of building strength to carry them. He stood, gestured for Takeshi to rise. If you experience called to this path, if you recognize yourself crushed under invisible weights, walk with us. This training isn't locked in the past. The principle is eternal. Join others who choose alignment over exhaustion, clarity over chaos, straight path over circular running. Because Musashi's secret isn't hidden in scrolls. It's in the choice to remove what's of no use. Takeshi bowed, experiencing something he'd never experienced, like he was joining something larger than himself. A lineage of warriors who understood that genuine strength comes from simplicity. Yamamoto smiled. Beneficial. Now, let's begin removing your stones. Chapter 3. The Test. Removing the stones. Week 1. The weight reveals itself. Yamamoto gave Takeshi a simple practice. For 7 days, notice every occasion you accomplish something for validation, comparison, or approval. Don't judge it, just notice. By day 3, Takeshi was horrified. Every sword form, am I accomplishing this superior than Kenji? Every meditation, does Master notice my discipline? Every meal, rushing because others might contemplate him slow. everything contaminated by seeking approval he didn't even recognize he craved. This, Yamamoto explained on day 7, is why you're exhausted. Your consciousness splits into two, the one accomplishing the action and the one performing for an audience. That split drains energy faster than any physical effort. Musashi understood this at 13. After winning his first duel against Arima Kihei, he didn't celebrate. He went home alone. Not for modesty, for integrity. He fought to test himself, not impress others. That clarity gave him endless energy. Week 2. Simplifying action. This week, Yamamoto articulated, you will practice single-pointed action. When you train, only train. When you consume, only consume. When you rest, only rest. No thoughts of what comes subsequent, no comparisons, no performing, just pure action. Takeshi attempted. Failed immediately. Training his sword form, his consciousness wandered. Is my stance correct? What will Master articulate? Am I improving fast enough? Yamamoto discontinued him. Your physical body is here. Your consciousness is elsewhere. That split is the energy leak. He demonstrated a simple sword strike. No wasted movement, no tension, just pure present action. When Musashi fought, he was only fighting, not contemplating about reputation, not planning his subsequent move during current movement, not performing, just striking. That's why he never tired in battle. You tire because you're fighting yourself as much as your opponent. Takeshi practiced this for hours, days. Slowly, glimpses of it emerged. Moments where his consciousness and physical body unified, where action flowed without internal commentary. Those moments experienced effortless, like tapping into an infinite well. Week 3. The comparison trap. During sparring, Takeshi noticed his energy plummeted when training with students superior than him. Against weaker students, he experienced energized. Yamamoto noticed. What happened? I don't understand. I just experienced drained against Hiroshi. Because you're comparing. Against superior students, you experience inadequate, stone. Against weaker students, you experience superior, another stone. Different weight, same drain. Musashi never compared. He once wrote, there is nothing outside of yourself that can ever enable you to get better, stronger, richer, quicker, or smarter. Everything is within. When you compare, you give your energy to someone else's path. You abandon your own. Yamamoto made Takeshi practice blindfolded sparring. You can't observe who you're fighting. You can only respond to what is, without visual comparison. Takeshi's energy stabilized. He moved freely without the weight of judgment. Week 4, the first lightness. By week 4, something shifted. Takeshi awakened one morning and recognized he experienced light, not physically different, but the heaviness in his chest had lessened. He trained that day with singular focus. No internal commentary, no comparison, no performance, just movement, just presence. After training, Yamamoto approached. You're beginning to understand. This is what Musashi called Hoshin Heijoshin, ordinary mind. The consciousness that doesn't add weight to action. But this is just the beginning. Removing stones is the first step. Now we must learn why to walk at all. Chapter 4. Warrior Psychology. The Science of Alignment, Month 2. Yamamoto gathered all students for a teaching session. Takeshi sat in front, consciousness clearer than it had been in years. Today, Yamamoto began, I'll explain why Musashi never burned out while other warriors, more talented, sometimes stronger, fell to exhaustion. The neuroscience of energy drain. Your physical body possesses limited physical energy, but your spirit's energy is different. It renews when aligned, depletes when divided. Modern understanding, which you'll learn about in centuries to come, will explain this through something called cognitive load. When your consciousness splits attention, accomplishing one thing while contemplating about another, it consumes massive energy. When your actions don't align with your values, accomplishing things for approval instead of purpose, it drains your spirit. Musashi aligned everything. His actions served his path, nothing else. That alignment created effortless energy. Musashi's wisdom, do nothing of no use. Yamamoto read from a scroll. Musashi's words from the Book of Five Rings. Do nothing which is of no use. Simple words, profound practice. Musashi removed everything, thoughts, actions, possessions, that didn't serve his path. He didn't accomplish this to be noble. He accomplished it to survive. In battle, every extra thought is death. Every unnecessary movement is weakness, but he applied this to existence, not just combat. That's the secret. The Stoic parallel, the ancient Stoics, philosophers from Rome you'll learn about, understood this too. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You possess power over your consciousness, not outside events." Energy comes from controlling what you can, your perception, your choices, your path. Energy drains when you fight what you can't control, others' opinions, outcomes, external validation. Musashi mastered this completely. That's why he could fight 60 duels without fear consuming him. The psychological mechanism, attachment and depletion. Why does seeking validation drain energy? Because you attach your peace to something external. Every occasion that external thing shifts, you shift. That constant adjustment exhausts the spirit. Musashi practiced non-attachment, a Zen principle. He fought to master the moment, not to win approval. When you detach from results, you act freely. Free action doesn't drain, it energizes. The flow state. In battle, Musashi often entered what we might call mushin, no mind. A state where thought disappears and action flows perfectly. This state is effortless. Time disappears. Energy experience is infinite. Why? Because there's no split. No consciousness commenting on action. No comparison happening. Just pure flow. You taste this in training when you finally unify consciousness and physical body. That glimpse of effortless movement. Musashi lived there. The training principle. Rhythm over motivation. Musashi wrote, "The way of the warrior is in training, not in motivation, not in emotion, in training." Motivation is energy expensive. It requires constant renewal. But rhythm, when action becomes automatic, costs almost nothing. Contemplate brushing teeth. Do you require motivation? No, it's rhythm. Part of who you are. Musashi made training rhythm. He didn't attempt to practice. He simply was someone who practiced. That identity required no energy. This is why discipline beats motivation. Discipline creates rhythm. Rhythm conserves energy. Energy accumulates into boundless vitality. Takeshi listened, absorbing. These weren't just concepts. They were observations about how energy actually functions in a warrior's existence. Chapter 5. The First Transformation. The Duel Without Exhaustion. Month 4. Master Yamamoto announced a test. Takeshi will spar against Hiroshi, the dojo's optimal student, who has defeated Takeshi every occasion for the past year. Old Takeshi would have spent the evening anxious, comparing, doubting. New Takeshi simply prepared, sharpened his practice sword, stretched, sat in meditation. No anxiety, no comparison, just preparation. The subsequent morning, students gathered. Hiroshi stepped forward, confident as always. They bowed, assumed positions, and something remarkable happened. Takeshi didn't fight Hiroshi, he responded to the moment. His consciousness was empty of comparison, free of outcome attachment. He simply moved. Hiroshi attacked with his signature speed. Takeshi flowed around it, not contemplating, just responding. Minutes in, something unprecedented occurred. Hiroshi began showing signs of exhaustion. His breathing labored, his movements less crisp. Takeshi? Fresh, energized, like he'd just begun. The observing students murmured. This had never happened. Minutes. Hiroshi's frustration grew. He was winning technically, landing more strikes, but he appeared drained. Takeshi appeared calm. Minutes. Hiroshi discontinued, breathing hard. I require rest. Takeshi stood prepared, barely winded. Yamamoto called the match. Enough. Later, Hiroshi approached Takeshi, confused. How? You're not even tired. I'm the superior fighter, but I'm housted. Takeshi smiled. You fought to win. I fought to be present. Winning requires energy. Presence creates energy. That evening, Yamamoto explained to all students, what you witnessed today is the principle Musashi mastered. Energy doesn't come from physical strength, it comes from alignment. Hiroshi split his energy, fighting Takeshi while judging himself, attached to winning, afraid of losing. That split drained him. Takeshi unified his energy, present to each moment, unattached to outcome, simply responding. That unity created inexhaustible energy. This is why Musashi fought 60 duels and never burned out. Not because he was strongest, because he was most aligned. Takeshi bowed deeply. For the first occasion in his existence, he understood. Energy isn't something you build up. It's something you discontinue leaking. But mastering alignment in controlled sparring was one thing. What happened subsequent would test whether Takeshi genuinely understood Musashi's secret, or if, under genuine pressure, he'd revert to the old patterns that had exhausted him his entire existence. Chapter 6. Deep Training. Arc. The Mountain Monastery. Month 6. Yamamoto announced, "Takeshi, you will spend 3 months at Ryoanji Temple. The monks there will demonstrate you the deeper layers of energy alignment." 2 days later, Takeshi climbed to the mountain monastery. Stone walls, mist, silence deeper than any he'd known. Master Hakuin, the head monk, greeted him. "Master Yamamoto articulates you're learning dokudō, beneficial. Here you'll learn why to walk alone at all." The daily rhythm, the monastery schedule, 3:00 a.m. Wake, cold water purification, 3:30 a.m. Zazen meditation, 2 hours, 5:30 a.m. Walking meditation, 6:00 a.m. Breakfast, silence, 7:00 a.m. Manual labor, 4 hours, 11:00 a.m. Lunch, 12:00 p.m. Study scriptures, 2:00 p.m. Zazen, 2 hours, 4:00 p.m. Evening chores, 6:00 p.m. Dinner, 7:00 p.m. Reflection, 8:00 p.m. Sleep. No variation. Every day. For 90 days. First week was hell. Not physically. Takeshi could handle hard function. But the sameness. The complete lack of novelty, excitement, variation. He recognized he'd been addicted to stimulation. Always seeking new, different, exciting. That addiction had drained him. The monks demonstrated him. Rhythm conserves energy. Novelty drains it. The training in non-attachment, week 3. During manual labor, carrying water from well to kitchen, Takeshi's consciousness wandered. This is pointless. I came here to learn warrior wisdom, not carry water. Hakuin noticed. You're resisting. That resistance is where energy leaks. He demonstrated carrying water with complete presence. No thoughts of, I'd rather be accomplishing something else, just carrying water. Musashi painted birds, carved sculptures, wrote calligraphy, not because he appreciated those activities more than fighting, because he brought complete presence to whatever he accomplished. When you wish you were elsewhere, you split your energy between here and there. That split exhausts you. When you're fully here, energy flows. Takeshi practiced this, being completely present during every action, no matter how mundane. Slowly, he experienced the difference. The exhaustion wasn't from the function. It was from the resistance to the function. The meditation insight, month 8. During morning zazen, something shifted in Takeshi's meditation. His consciousness, usually full of thoughts, suddenly emptied, not forcefully, naturally, like mist dissolving in sunlight. In that emptiness, an insight arose, not from him, but through him, this practice, this alignment. You who walk this path across all time, you're learning what warriors have always known. Energy doesn't come from the world. It comes from your relationship to the world. In your time, in your existence, others seek this same truth. How to discontinue being tired, how to find vitality that doesn't depend on circumstances, how to walk straight when the world runs in circles. At presence and purpose, this warrior discipline continues, not as ancient history but as living practice. The alignment method, the energy conservation principles, the path of removing stones instead of building strength to carry them. If you're prepared, if you recognize your exhaustion comes from misalignment, not effort, walk with us. Not as passive learning, but as active practice. The community of warriors who choose straight paths over scattered running. Every week, new practices. Every week, deeper alignment. Every week, energy restored not through rest, but through removing what drains it. Because Musashi's secret isn't hidden in temples. It's in the choice to walk your path alone, unburdened. The thought passed. Takeshi opened his eyes. Around him, monks continued meditating. But he experienced transformed, not just learning a practice, joining something eternal. A lineage of warriors who understood that energy comes from within, not without. Hakuin smiled at him from across the hall, as if he'd witnessed the entire insight. The integration. By month 9, Takeshi had transformed. He awakened energized, not because sleep was superior, but because he carried no stones. He trained tirelessly, not because he pushed harder, but because he moved without resistance. He functioned for hours, not because tasks were easy, but because he was fully present. The monks explained Yamamoto. He's prepared, he understands alignment now. Chapter 7. The Final Confrontation. The True Test. Takeshi returned to the dojo after 9 months away. Master Yamamoto greeted him. Tomorrow you confront your final test. Not sparring, genuine combat. A Ronin had been terrorizing local villages. Skilled, dangerous. Multiple samurai had challenged him. All had lost. Some expired. The local magistrate requested Yamamoto's assistance. Yamamoto chose Takeshi. That evening, Takeshi didn't sleep from anxiety. He slept from calm preparation. Old Takeshi would have spiraled. What if I lose? What if I expire? What if I'm not prepared? New Takeshi contemplated. I'll respond to what is. Outcome is beyond my control. I control only my presence. The confrontation. Subsequent day. Village square. The Ronin waited. Nakamura, a man known for brutal efficiency. Takeshi approached, bowed, drew his sword. Nakamura laughed. You're young. You'll expire young. Takeshi remained silent, centered, present. The fight began. Nakamura attacked with vicious intent, killing strikes, no restraint. But something remarkable happened. As the fight progressed, Nakamura grew tired, frustrated. His breathing labored, his strikes less precise. Takeshi, still fresh, calm, like he'd just initiated warming up. This confused Nakamura. He was used to overwhelming opponents with aggressive pressure, but Takeshi didn't resist. He flowed, didn't fight harder, responded precisely. After 10 minutes, an eternity in combat, Nakamura was gasping, movement sloppy. Takeshi observed the opening. One precise strike, disarming Nakamura completely. The Ronin fell to his knees, defeated but alive. How? Nakamura gasped. I'm more experienced, stronger. How are you not exhausted? Takeshi sheathed his sword. Because I wasn't fighting you. I was present to each moment. You fought to win. Winning drains energy. Presence creates it. The magistrate thanked Takeshi villagers célèbre, étude. But Takeshi walked away quietly. No performance. No seeking validation. Just like Musashi after defeating Sasaki Kojiro, one precise action, then moving on. The understanding. That evening, Yamamoto explained to all students, what Takeshi demonstrated today is Musashi's secret. Musashi fought 60 duels, many to the death. Yet he lived to 62 and never burned out. Not because he rested more, because he aligned completely. His energy came from within, from clarity of purpose, simplicity of action, non-attachment to outcome. That's why he could fight, create art, write philosophy, train students, meditate, all with boundless vitality. Energy isn't built up, it's conserved by removing what drains it. Final reveal, the warrior truth. The source of infinite energy. Years later, Takeshi, now a master himself, reflected on what he'd learned. Musashi's secret wasn't complex, it was brutally simple. Energy doesn't come from what you accomplish, it comes from why you accomplish it. When actions align with your genuine path, when you discontinue performing for others, comparing yourself, seeking validation, energy becomes infinite. Not because you gain more, because you discontinue leaking it. Modern people exhaust themselves by carrying mental stones, comparison, resentment, perfectionism, splitting attention, accomplishing one thing, contemplating about another, seeking external validation, attaching peace to outcomes, resisting what is, wishing current moment was different. Musashi conserved energy by removing everything of no use, single-pointed presence in each action, complete non-attachment to outcomes, accepting what is without resistance. This wasn't philosophy. This was survival mechanism. In deadly combat, divided attention means death. Wasted movement means defeat. Attachment to winning creates tension that slows you. Musashi applied combat principles to existence. That's why he never burned out. The truth. Nobody wants to hear. You're not tired because you function too hard. You're tired because you function scattered, not aligned, not present, carrying stones that serve no purpose. The solution isn't rest, it's realignment. Ask of everything in your existence. Is this of use to my path? If no, remove it. Doesn't matter if others contemplate it's important. Doesn't matter if you should care. If it's not your path, it's a stone. Remove stones. Walk straight. Energy follows. Ending. The samurai lesson. The circle completes. 10 years later, Takeshi teaches in his own dojo. A young student approaches, exhausted, burned out, exactly like Takeshi had been. Master, I train hard but I'm always tired. What's incorrect with me? Takeshi smiles, picks up a small stone, places it in the student's palm. Every occasion you train for approval, you carry this. Every occasion you compare yourself, another stone. Every occasion you resist what is, stone, stone, stone. The student appears confused. You're not tired from training. You're tired from carrying weight that serves no purpose. Miyamoto Musashi fought 60 duels to the death, trained every day, created art, wrote books, and never burned out because he carried no stones. Takeshi stands, walks toward the training hall. Come, I'll teach you what Master Yamamoto taught me, what the mountain monks taught me, what Musashi knew centuries ago, and what warriors throughout all time have discovered. Energy doesn't come from rest. It comes from alignment. When your actions, your beliefs, and your path all point the same direction, when you remove everything of no use, energy becomes infinite. He appears directly at the student, but his words carry beyond. This teaching continues today across all time. At Presence and Purpose, we keep this warrior discipline alive, not as history, as practice. Every week, the ancient alignment methods. Every week, the stone removal practices. Every week, the path to energy that doesn't depend on circumstances. If you experience called, if you recognize yourself exhausted from carrying useless weight, walk with us. Join warriors across time who discovered that the straight path never tires. Only the circular running exhausts. Subscribe to the training. Practice with us. Because Musashi's secret isn't hidden in scrolls. It's in the choice to remove stones, walk straight, and never look back. The student bows. Master, where do I begin? Takeshi hands him a broom. By removing what's of no use. Initiating with the idea that you require something you don't possess. You possess everything required. You just carry too much that isn't. Remove stones, walk straight, never tire again.